In late December 2024, Turkey and Russia finalized a comprehensive energy deal, effectively bypassing Western sanctions imposed on Moscow. This development has raised significant concerns within the European Union, which views Turkey's actions as undermining efforts to economically isolate Russia due to its ongoing invasion of Ukraine. Turkey's move is particularly concerning given its NATO membership and the EU's long-standing expectations of alignment within the Western Bloc. This is not the first time Turkey has been caught in a delicate balancing act between its NATO commitments and its growing economic ties with Russia. As early as October 2024, analysts noted Turkey's complex relationship with Moscow, publicly condemning Russia's invasion while simultaneously pursuing significant economic cooperation. The latest agreement focuses on creating a natural gas hub in Turkey, designed to facilitate Russian gas exports to Europe and offer an alternative route for energy trade, in light of Western sanctions. This project will enhance Turkey's role as an energy intermediary and help Russia regain access to markets it lost due to geopolitical tensions. The energy deal includes a roadmap for establishing the gas hub, with Turkey currently importing around 50.5 billion cubic meters, BCM, of gas annually. Russia supplies roughly 42% of this total through existing contracts, including 16 BCM delivered via the Blue Stream pipeline and 5.75 BCM via the Turk Stream pipeline. Under the new agreement, Turkish officials are negotiating for more favorable terms, seeking lower prices and greater flexibility for future contracts. Beyond natural gas, Turkey is also deepening its nuclear collaboration with Russia, particularly through the Akkuyu Nuclear Power Plant, which is expected to meet 10% of Turkey's electricity needs. The deal stipulates that Turkey will purchase 70% of the electricity generated at a fixed rate for 15 years, further solidifying the country's energy interdependence. Critics of the deal argue that the EU's disapproval of Turkey's actions comes with a hint of hypocrisy. Despite its vocal opposition to Turkey's economic cooperation with Russia, the EU continues to engage in energy transactions with Moscow. As of June 2024, concerns over Europe's reliance on Russian gas were still prominent, with some analysts warning that this dependence undermined the EU's ability to enforce its foreign policy goals. Furthermore, Turkey's ongoing bid for EU membership has been complicated by the EU's inconsistent approach, highlighted by the Kremlin's blunt remarks in July 2023 that Turkey should not expect EU membership anytime soon. The Turkey-Russia energy deal, finalized in late 2024, signals a strategic shift by Ankara, prioritizing its own economic and energy security over compliance with Western sanctions. This pragmatic approach reflects Turkey's broader geopolitical strategy of balancing its NATO obligations with its growing economic relationship with Russia. For the EU, this represents a significant challenge to the unity it has sought to maintain in isolating Russia economically, especially as Turkey, a NATO member, continues to engage with Moscow. Turkey's role as an intermediary between Russia and the EU has become increasingly important, as trade between the two countries has soared since Western sanctions were imposed on Moscow. Turkish exports to Russia grew by 60% in 2022 alone, covering goods ranging from construction materials to electronics. Meanwhile, Turkey has benefited from discounted Russian energy supplies, stabilizing its own economy during a period of global inflation. However, this arrangement has raised ethical concerns, as Turkey has been implicated in facilitating the movement of sanctioned goods between Russia and the EU, effectively circumventing sanctions. Some analysts argue that the EU has failed to enforce its sanctions regime effectively, leaving significant loopholes that allow countries like Turkey to exploit them. For Turkey, however, acting as an intermediary has provided economic benefits, even as it raises questions about its role in undermining Western sanctions. The broader geopolitical implications of the deal extend beyond economics. By deepening its relationship with Russia, Turkey is challenging the Western narrative of unity in isolating Moscow. This is particularly striking given Turkey's strategic position in NATO and its role as a bridge between Europe and the Middle East. While Turkey has publicly condemned Russia's invasion of Ukraine, it has refrained from participating in sanctions, instead focusing on national interests. This has allowed Turkey to maintain its position as a key mediator in regional conflicts, while simultaneously benefiting from its relations with Russia. Critics of the EU's response to Turkey's actions argue that Brussels' approach is lacking in nuance. While the EU has expressed outrage at Turkey's energy agreements with Russia, it has failed to address its own vulnerabilities, including its continued reliance on Russian energy imports. Certain EU countries have continued to import Russian energy through indirect means, undermining the bloc's moral authority. In response, Turkish officials have pointed to these inconsistencies as justification for pursuing independent economic policies that do not align with the West's geopolitical agenda. Ultimately, Turkey's deepening ties with Russia reflect broader shifts in the global order, where nations are increasingly prioritizing their own economic and geopolitical interests, often at the expense of traditional alliances. The Turkey-Russia energy deal underscores the complexity of international relations in an era where power dynamics are rapidly evolving. As Western influence diminishes in certain regions, countries like Turkey are increasingly asserting their autonomy and forming partnerships that reflect a more multipolar global order. This shift is evident in Turkey's growing relationships not just with Russia, but also with other non-Western powers such as China and Iran. These alliances serve as a counterbalance to Turkey's often strained dynamics with the European Union and the United States, especially as EU accession talks stall and tensions rise over U.S. support for Kurdish groups in Syria. Economically, Turkey's deals with Russia have brought immediate benefits, including energy security and increased trade revenues. However, they come with risks. By aligning more closely with Moscow, Turkey risks alienating key Western allies, which could jeopardize its long-term economic and security interests. The EU has suggested potential consequences, such as economic penalties or restrictions on Turkey's customs union agreement, which could severely impact Turkey's export-driven economy, particularly given its reliance on European markets. Despite these risks, Turkey seems undeterred, viewing its partnership with Russia as a calculated move to enhance regional influence and economic resilience. Turkish officials defend the deal, emphasizing that it is critical for national stability and energy security. They also point to the EU's own shortcomings, such as its failure to present a unified approach to sanctions, as justification for their actions. In Turkey's view, EU criticism is a diversion from its own failures, including its lack of tangible support for countries dealing with the economic fallout from the Ukraine crisis. Turkey's dealings with Russia highlight the limits of Western sanctions and the increasingly complex global geopolitical landscape. As Turkey navigates its position between East and West, it is clear that traditional alliances are becoming more fluid. For the EU, this serves as a stark reminder of the need to reassess its vulnerabilities and approach to countries like Turkey, whose actions are increasingly shaping a world where multipolarity, not Western dominance, defines international relations. Turkey's strategy of balancing NATO commitments with an increasingly independent foreign policy has been a hallmark of its geopolitical maneuvering. The recent deal with Russia further underscores this dual approach. By refusing to fully align with Western sanctions while maintaining NATO membership, Turkey occupies a unique position in global politics. This approach allows Turkey to maximize its leverage, negotiating favorable terms with both the West and Russia, ensuring that its strategic and economic priorities are met. For Turkey, this dual-track policy is not just a tactical choice, but a necessity due to its geographic and political realities as a bridge between Europe and Asia. One of the most significant strategic outcomes of Turkey's relationship with Russia is enhanced energy security. By securing preferential energy contracts, Turkey has gained significant economic advantages, including deferred payment plans and the ability to pay for energy imports in rubles. These arrangements not only provide financial relief during a period of global economic uncertainty, but also reduce exposure to fluctuations in the US dollar. These energy deals have helped stabilize Turkey's domestic energy market, offering lower prices to consumers and avoiding the supply disruptions that have affected many European countries due to sanctions on Russian energy exports. This is particularly vital given the economic challenges Turkey has faced over the past decade, including mounting inflation, a weakening lira, and rising public discontent. Discounted oil and gas from Russia combined with flexible payment terms have provided much-needed relief to Turkey's struggling economy. Moreover, by bypassing Western sanctions, Turkey has positioned itself as a critical energy transit hub, with pipelines like Turkstream ensuring the flow of Russian gas to Europe. This role not only enhances Turkey's geopolitical significance, but also generates transit revenues that further bolster its economy. However, Turkey's refusal to comply with Western sanctions has drawn criticism from NATO allies, who see it as undermining the collective effort to isolate Russia. Despite this, Turkey has framed its approach as pragmatic rather than defiant, emphasizing that its economic stability is crucial for regional security, a stance that resonates with some Western policymakers who are wary of pushing Turkey too close to Moscow. This calculated positioning has allowed Turkey to maintain its NATO membership, which remains a cornerstone of its national security strategy, while pursuing independent policies that serve its economic and strategic interests. By leveraging its NATO membership, Turkey strengthens its hand in negotiations with both the West and Russia. Turkey's role as a key NATO ally in a strategically vital region means that neither side can afford to alienate it entirely. For the West, Turkey's geographic location as a gateway to the Middle East and its control over the Bosporus Strait are critical for military and economic purposes. For Russia, Turkey is an essential partner that can mitigate the effects of Western sanctions and offer alternative trade and energy routes. This unique positioning allows Turkey to extract concessions from both sides, enhancing its standing on the global stage. Turkey's strategic balancing act between NATO and Russia has been beneficial, yet not without its risks. On the one hand, Turkey enjoys military support from NATO and economic benefits from its ties to Russia. However, its increasing dependence on Russian energy and trade poses a vulnerability to Russian pressure, particularly if bilateral relations sour. Furthermore, Turkey's approach has strained its relationship with key Western allies, including the United States, which has consistently urged Turkey to align more closely with NATO policies. There's also the risk that Turkey's stance could provoke economic retaliation from the EU, including trade restrictions or financial sanctions, which would significantly impact its economy. Despite these risks, Turkey's independent approach to foreign policy has delivered tangible results. By rejecting the binary East-West divide, Turkey has carved out a unique position as a key player in a multipolar global order. Its ability to navigate complex relations with both NATO and Russia highlights the growing influence of middle powers in shaping international politics. For Turkey, the strategic advantages gained from recent deals with Russia go beyond immediate economic benefits, positioning the country as an indispensable global actor. As it continues to leverage NATO membership while deepening ties with Russia, Turkey challenges traditional notions of alliance loyalty and reflects a broader trend of countries prioritizing national interests over rigid ideological blocs. For the EU and the West, Turkey's behavior underscores the limits of their influence and the necessity for a more nuanced diplomatic approach in an increasingly fragmented world. Ultimately, Turkey's ability to navigate these complexities may define its role on the global stage for years to come. Turkey's decision to strengthen ties with the BRICS bloc, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, marks a pivotal shift in its geopolitical orientation. After decades of waiting for EU membership, a process that has dragged on for over 60 years with little progress, Ankara has become disillusioned with the European Union's reluctance to fully embrace it. This frustration, combined with broader geopolitical shifts, has led Turkey to pivot towards emerging powers in the East, solidifying its role in the multipolar world. The EU's hesitation to grant Turkey full membership has long strained relations, despite Turkey's strategic importance as a NATO member and its role as a bridge between Europe and Asia. The stalled negotiations over EU membership, plagued by delays and shifting requirements, have fueled resentment in Turkey. Issues such as human rights, democratic reforms, and the Cyprus dispute have been cited as reasons for the deadlock, but many in Turkey see these concerns as pretext to exclude a predominantly Muslim nation from the EU. This prolonged limbo has led Turkish leaders and citizens to question the value of pursuing EU membership. At the same time, Turkey's crucial role in managing the migration crisis, preventing millions of refugees from reaching Europe, has been met with limited recognition and support from the EU, further souring relations. The United States has not been much more successful in managing its relationship with Turkey. Washington's support for Kurdish groups like the PKK and YPG in Iraq and Syria, which Turkey considers terrorist organizations, has been a major point of contention. Despite Turkey's objections, the U.S. has provided military aid to these groups as part of its fight against ISIS, which Turkey views as a direct threat to its national security and territorial integrity. This, along with the EU's continued reluctance, has pushed Turkey to seek alliances outside the Western sphere. By aligning with BRICS, a coalition of emerging economies, Turkey signals its intention to shift away from the Western-dominated global order toward a more balanced international system. The appeal of BRICS lies not only in its economic potential, but also in its focus on multilateralism and respect for sovereignty, principles that resonate with Turkey's foreign policy. Under President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Turkey's integration into BRICS could have far-reaching implications for its economy and geopolitical standing. Membership would open access to new markets, investment opportunities, and alternative financial systems that bypass Western-controlled institutions, such as the IMF and World Bank. This aligns with Turkey's broader strategy of diversifying its economic relationships, reducing dependence on the EU, and strengthening ties with non-Western powers. BRICS membership would also enhance Turkey's regional influence, particularly in the Middle East, Central Asia, and beyond. The EU, facing the prospect of losing Turkey to the East, is now scrambling to repair relations, offering reassurances and exploring ways to restart membership talks. However, for many in Ankara, this renewed interest comes too late. Decades of neglect and condescension have eroded trust, and Turkey is no longer willing to wait for EU approval. As Erdogan recently remarked, Turkey has waited at Europe's door for 60 years. We no longer have time to wait. The shifting global landscape further reinforces Turkey's decision to embrace the East. With China's Belt and Road Initiative reshaping trade routes across Eurasia, India's growing economic clout, and Russia's strategic partnerships, the East represents opportunities for growth. In contrast, the West is often viewed as stagnant, beset by political divisions, economic challenges, and waning influence. For Turkey, aligning with BRICS is not only a rejection of the EU's indifference, but also a recognition of where global power is shifting. This pivot is part of a broader trend among middle powers seeking greater independence in a multipolar world. Like Turkey, many nations are exploring alternative partnerships that better align with their national interests, challenging the dominance of Western-led institutions. The EU and the US must reconsider their diplomatic strategies in light of this shift. By leaving the EU behind and embracing BRICS, Turkey sends a clear message. It will no longer be relegated to the role of a peripheral player in Western systems. Instead, Turkey is charting its own course, one that prioritizes sovereignty, economic growth, and strategic autonomy. For the EU, this serves as a wake-up call, an indication that its influence is no longer guaranteed. For Turkey, it is an opportunity to redefine its place on the global stage, free from the constraints of a system that has long failed to recognize its potential.